Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm doing a review of the of the Ninth Doctor issue 11 from the ongoing adventures of the Ninth Doctor. So you've got the barcode there, you've got 15 even, Titan Comics issue 15 there, Doctor Who, some of the writers and stuff, what cover it is, Doctor Who logo there. Ongoing Adventures of the Ninth Doctor, and then you've got the cover, which I really am not a fan of. I think the only thing that I can think of that's pretty cool is the fact that Rose has got the TARDIS key and or a TARDIS around her neck sort of thing. The Ninth Doctor just doesn't look like the Ninth Doctor to me at all. That face though looks really not like him, and I don't know, I just don't like the art style at all for the cover personally. But then on the back you've got an advertisement for this sort of Doctor Who comic book day thing, celebrating the it's called the Lost Dimension event, and that it's kind of confusing. I'm not 100% sure about it myself. I mean, I picked up the Ninth Doctor one because that was on subscription at my local comic book shop, so I ended up getting that. So, and in chronological order, apparently that is the next issue, even though it's kind of confusing because it's not numbered in the same way as this one, if that makes sense. So it doesn't say it's like issue 16, I don't think. So yeah, that's kind of confusing, but I'm assuming for each of the Doctors there's like a Lost Dimension event comic for each one of them. There's an advertisement for Sherlock, variant covers, and that. I mean, I don't think there's any real cover I massively like out of the four. I mean, maybe cover C and maybe cover B, maybe, but meh. Subscriber thing, like, you know, getting cheaper stuff, what's out by Titan Comics, and that this month. Another thing about the Lost Dimension-y thing, part 2, the Bidding War part 2, writer, artist, colorist, letterist, so on and so forth. And then the last bit of the comic book. On the front you've got, in this bit you've got the bio of the Doctor, Rose, Tara, and previously Titan Comics website, Twitter and Facebook. If I come across like I'm quite sort of not as fast-paced at reviewing this, it's because I've not been reviewing anything on the channel for ages, and that and or recorded a video for quite some time actually since I've been back at college, so that's probably why. It starts kind of it kind of starts very abruptly from where we left off last time. I feel like with this bit with this Time Lord lady, she mentions Cardinal Alistra, I want to say, from the War Doctor box sets, which is nice if you've listened to the War Doctor box sets, and I think that spaceship's like a reference to the spaceship and or opening scene of the Trial of the Time Lords series, and I get Trial of the Time Lords sort of vibes from this, really, and that with the War Doctor. That's supposed to be like a time vampire, I think, or a vampire-y thing. You know, if you really like into your sort of Doctor Who Time War sort of mythology and lore, you'll know that before the Time War, or in like really early days of Gallifreyan lore and history, that they fought against the vampires and that and stuff. The Cybermen in this look really weird. They kind of look like proper old school classic series Cybermen. If I can get a bit of a Cyberman here. Yeah, this panel point, they look proper old school sort of Cybermen designs. I don't know what to make of the design, although there it looks fucking grotesque. And sorry about the swearing, but seriously, it looks pretty freaking intense. I mean, I think the closest we've ever got to body horror-y type stuff in the new series with the Cybermen is easily, obviously, World Enough of Time in the Doctor's Fall, really. Easily the best Cyberman story, you know, closely followed up by the two-parter in Series 2. That Series 2 two-parter of the Cybermen and the Series 10 finale two-parter type Cyberman story one are probably the two best Cyberman stories in the new series, hands down, for me anyway. I don't know, I think there's quite a bit of like Time War-y stuff. There's almost too much content in this. I think if you're a new fan and you're going back and you're reading some of these, I think you'd get intimidated by how much sort of content there is and just how much sort of stuff there is and that. And I got confused between these. These bits were confusing to me, and it was it's a bit higgledy-piggledy and a bit all over the place, really. I feel like, but then you've got flashbacks of like the Time War, and that, which this is really cool. But I was thinking when I was looking back, I was sort of reading some of this and then looking at it, I was like, wait, what? Why is this red? Shouldn't it be blue? But oh well, it's minor criticism. But I mean, you know, like if you recall in the new series, a lot of the effects are blue for them getting shot, and I'm 100% sure, 110% sure that this companion, or this person that the War Doctor's got in his hands, I feel like I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but I think that this is, or that could be the character and or companion who is mentioned in Engines of War, George Mann, I think it is, who wrote that. I want to say George Mann. Wrote that, and I think that's the companion from that Engines of War, because I remember a cover, someone did a cover, like a mock-up of a fan-made sort of cover for it on Facebook and that, and she had red hair there and she looked kind of like that, so, you know, I don't know, I feel like at this point with Doctor Who, like, sometimes we see so much of the Time War in the comic books in particular that I feel like it's lost impact for me personally at times, but, and I don't know, I just don't feel like there was that much of a threat, really, like, don't know, because I didn't fully grasp all this sort of stuff, and that Sadman thing was cool, like, she got cyber converted, and that, and then there was this battle outside, and stuff, and that, but I don't know, it was a bit all over the place. Maybe the next issue is going to be better. I feel like there's a lot in the comic book, but it's not spread out as well as it could have been, or it's not as well plotted out. Maybe there's a bit too much content, as in like the previous issue 14 and or 15, that maybe there's so much stuff that it should have been spread out like 3 issues maybe, but maybe they didn't have the money, or I don't know what the behind the scenes would have been like, but I don't know. I mean, as I say, it's sort of, I know a lot of people criticise Stephen Moffat scripts for doing this in 2-parters, like you end one place, like say for example, Heaven Sent, as a prime example, you end on Gallifrey and then Hellbent opens with a shot of like America and that on Earth and that, and it's really disjointed and really jarring as a viewer, and I feel like it's only fair to criticise other writers for doing that, and I feel like personally that this, sorry about that, but that kind of happened here personally, but then again, I need to kind of read over issue 14 and then this one back to back, and then I can get a better idea, so, because it might just be my ignorance at this point, but I don't know. I think, even if you're a big fan of the Ninth Doctor, I don't recommend this issue personally, only because it's sort of the end of a chapter, and it's probably best to obviously start at the beginning of a chapter, and or at least the middle maybe, and or pick up the previous issue and then read this one. I think if you were to just read this one on its own, you'd be very confused. I mean, as I say, I have the previous issue and I was rather confused, so I can only imagine if you were to just pick up this one standalone, how you would feel. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. There was bits that I enjoyed, like flashbacks to the Time War are pretty cool, and having the War Doctor at the beginning, and some of the Time Lord people in robes, and a callback to, like, what I feel is like, as I say, Trial of the Time Lords. Even if I haven't watched that one, stuff with, like, vampire-y stuff, Dalek ships, you know. There's some cool imagery, and the art's nice. The art is nice, it is well drawn. That's always usually a thing that I compliment with these Titan comics. They're always really well drawn, and that were really well drawn, sort of, comic books and that, and I always know who's who and that, and it has a nice send off for Tara's character as well, like at the end, which I'm not gonna ruin, but yeah, as I say, like it has a nice ending to her character and that, and it almost canonically fits into Day of the Doctor almost, you know, and that with what happens kind of at the end. I want to say that it almost canonically sets up Day of the Doctor, kind of, maybe. Or the events of Day of the Doctor, anyway, kind of. But yeah. Thanks for watching, comment, rate, and subscribe.